Hey, what's up, Dean? Sear Performance. We're at the shop and we are working on Tom's Mustang SN95 or 195, something like that they call them. Pretty clean car. He's been to the track with it a couple times and has not gotten the results he wanted. It's a built 5.3. Not really sure as far as everything that's done. Pistons, rods, crank, all that good stuff. It's got a Precision 76, 75 Gen 1 that was blowing a lot of oil. The drain right there actually had gone down and looped back up with a 90 on the front of the cover. So you can see some of the oil there on the water pump. Some of it was coming out of the back housing clamp. So I cut the line, put a straight fitting, and there's no more oil, so that solved that. But we have an issue of that turbo is just a little too small. We also had an issue with the injectors. These are fuel injection connection, not fuel injector clinic. So the data is not in the Holley software for these injectors, and they had previously set them up as FIC 1100s. These are actually 1300s with a very different offset, very different millisecond minimum injector setting. I can't remember what it's called. I'll show you here. This guy here, minimum injector opening time. Very different. They had the system pressure at 43.5. They had the rated injector pressure at 58. Completely backwards. The system pressure is actually 70. The injector pressure is rated at 43.5. It's a 123.8 pound injector. So it gives you 157 pound per hour, opposed to what was in there before only gave them 107 or 104, something like that. 136. Yeah, 136 is what was in there before with the pressures right. So we got it all set up. We got it back up and running, and solved that issue. We are going to change the turbo. We are changing the turbo placement. His air temps, you can see as the car sits longer and longer, air temps get up to 164 degrees. He does have a water to air intercooler, but when he made a run last night, his air temps were in the low 100 at the starting line, and they shot to like 167 degrees. My main theory is that is the intake air temp sensor in the manifold. I'd say that's in the wrong spot because you're heat soaking it with all the engine heat that's in the intake. So it's seeing more the temperature of the intake, the aluminum of the intake, than it is the actual air flowing through, is what I can explain it as. Whereas if the sensor was here, this is not 167 degrees right now. I could hold this with my hand. 167, I'd be screaming. So we are going to move that sensor to here. Probably not going to change any of the charge piping. Just going to change the placement on the turbo. Bigger wastegate, going to have to use a bigger wastegate. And I'm going to set the turbo out here so that it actually gets the air from outside the car. And it's not pulling radiator air in. He has two big pusher fans on the front, so imagine this fan's pushing all the hot air of the radiator directly into the turbo. So you're getting 200 degree coolant temps. The air coming through it probably 170, 60, 40, whatever it is, going directly in the front of the turbo. Whereas if the turbo was set over here and it could pull fresh air, it's not gonna be nowhere near as high. So we're gonna set the turbo as far out in the fender as we can. I gotta kind of talk to Tom about some of that placement, and then because it's a big turbo, so I might hang the flange actually on the actual frame rail as a support for the flange. Not sure if I'm gonna go. I think the exhaust inlet is going to be on the outside of the frame rail. Debatable. Very debatable. I have to keep in mind that I have a lower radiator hose there. You know, there's a few different variables. I could change the outlet or inlet, whichever that is on the radiator, the lower. I can change that to the other side. That wouldn't be a big deal. Blah, blah, blah. But we shall see what we can do. Once we get the turbo in, we'll be able to figure a lot more out. But I'm not going to tear the car down yet. There's some wiring things he wants me to tidy up. So I'm just going to go through like this negative cable. Me personally, I wouldn't put it there. It also has a ground strap down there, so it's going to the frame. So there's really no need for this cable to even be there. It already has a ground strap on the bottom to the frame, to the block. Excuse me, I understand more grounds are better, but you're literally adding the same wire that's already on it. Gonna change up a few things in the trunk too. He had to change the pump, so I'm gonna look up that pump, make sure that it's a good pump enough. He says it's 25 gallons per minute, but we'll see if that is 25 gallons per minute. These hoses, being that they're so long, had a kink in them. You don't need all that hose, so I will mount that. I'll take the old bracket off and I'll mount that pump in there, and I'll shorten all the hoses how they need to be shortened. Get that sorted out. I mean, these are some gnarly hoses too, but they are, you know, a little bit soft, whatever. Fuel system's insanely big. It's got a giant air motive brushless gear pump. I mean, that thing is massive. So he's got like a 10 feet up, dual 8s to the rail, 8 return. So definitely has enough fuel. He's got a kill switch here. It's mounted, but it's not wired up. So he wants that wired up. So we're gonna take the wires and do that. Not exactly sure what's going on with all these wires, but we are definitely gonna do that for him. We're gonna get everything sorted out, clean up the wiring. It's just got a bunch of wires that are just kind of in there for now. So probably end up doing some looming on them. I don't know why you tied a red wire to a black wire and then came back to a black wire that then comes over here to a blue wire on the relay. So the orange wire goes to a red wire, goes to another red wire, which goes direct to battery. And that, yeah, good times. Double check. Yep, so that goes to there, and then this white with a red. Fucking wires everywhere. It goes. Oh, well, that's cool. Pinched underneath the mount. So, you're wondering why he burned his other pump up. That might be it right there. Fuck. I'd imagine that goes to the switch that triggers the relay. I'm now questioning if the relay is even wired right, because you've got your ground and your battery tied together on the relay right here. One side's supposed to be ground, which would be a trigger. The other side should be a battery. And then the blue one should be the power feed going out. So boy. The things we come across. Ow. It does work. Wonder if it's working backwards. But I don't know. I'll sort that. I'll get the wire out from under there because it shouldn't be under it. I'll loom it. There's no reason for wires to go this way, wires to go this way. No reason for all that. I'll probably put some water in the tank, turn it on, and make sure that the water's coming back to the tank on the top. If not, then that could be a huge cause of his issue. I'm not sure, unless they're triggering ground off of this relay. So that's probably what he's doing. Yeah, he's triggering the ground off the relay. So we reverse the relay. That's this wire here. Goes direct to battery. And the relay does have a built-in fuse, so that's good. But I'm probably gonna do a terminal block for the grounds, because I don't know, piling them up like this, I just don't like doing that. I'm okay with the wing nut and having the main cable and having another main cable come over to like a junction block over here where you could access everything, you know what's what, you could label everything, everything goes where it's supposed to go. It's just too many wires everywhere that I have no idea is what for what. So I'll go through, clean some stuff up, and figure a few other things out. Find out from him if he, half these switches, they're not even really necessary. Like the fuel pump, you don't need, you can trigger it off the Holley. The Holley has an output for it, and they're using that wire to actually trigger the switch from what I saw. It's right here, this green one, and it goes to a red, then that goes into a pile of wires over here. So I will most likely pull this panel out and go through all that. You've got a light here, which I'd imagine is like a line lock light, but it's disconnected and the wire was shoved down in there, so maybe I'll hook up the light. And then there's a toggle switch over there. The key only unlocks the column. Preferably, for me, I'd rather have the key start the car and do all that stuff. That's up to him though, if he likes the switch panel. I don't know. That's his line lock. So I mean, he can have it there. It just seems like a little bit harder of a spot to get to, but it's okay. Then we were messing with the bump and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice car. It's got plenty of money invested into it, and it's not quite doing what it's supposed to do. So we're gonna go through, make sure everything's good. I have a big feeling that the tune was very far off. I noticed that in one of the data logs, it was pulling 15% fuel. Boost control wasn't even working. So we're gonna order a second Mac valve. Get that here. Get that plumbed in. Get it all working how it's supposed to work. I'll probably end up pulling the inputs and outputs to over here where they're more accessible, more viewable. You could find them. I hate having to dive under a column and look through all that. It's a lot easier if you do them right here and then just connect off and do connectors wherever they're going. But we'll get it all sorted. Hey, hopefully in the next week or so, we'll get this one sorted, get it out of here. C10 gone tomorrow. And tomorrow, Zach's Mustang will be coming over because there's not much I could do with this until I get the turbo. I could do some of the wiring, but I don't want to jump on it and jump off it and jump on it and jump off it. So I'll probably most likely bring Zach's car over here once the truck is gone, and then we can jump on that, make that happen. And then probably these two cars, this one and his, will probably be going out the door about the same time. We'll probably end up dynoing this car, maybe dynoing Zach's car. We have to kind of work that out. So, but for now, quick update. We are crazy busy. Trying to catch up on everything. There's so much going on. Almost need help, but we ain't doing that. So for now, appreciate you watching. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment. Have a good day.